I'm Sierra Drish. My informative speech is going to be over the negative effects of divorce, how to choose your spouse, and how to hold the relationship together after you have chosen your spouse. When I had children, I want to definitely avoid divorce and the negative effects. I came from a divorced family. My parents got divorced when I was at a young age. Luckily, I didn't have these nine negative effects that I am going to tell you about, but I did have the emotional effects. Like most people that come from a divorced family have emotional effects. The nine negative physical effects um, that I found from the week. It's a newspaper website. Um, you coming from a divorced family, you have a higher rate of smoking, Ritalin use, susceptibility to sickness and crime, poor math and social skills, higher risk of a stroke, greater risk of getting a divorce when you get married later on, and even a higher risk of dying early. Like I said earlier, for me, I didn't have much of these, but one of my friends, she also has divorced parents. Um, they do not get along, and they're to the extreme point where they can't even see each other. For her to see her dad, she has to be dropped off at her mom's friends, and then her dad has to pick her up, which is horrible because I'm sure she gets put in the middle a lot. And getting put in the middle is one of those drama parts where luckily I got stuck out of, and that's why I believe that I do not have the negative effects that she has had. Um, the biggest decision that I think you can make in life is choosing who your spouse is. Um, a good way to know if they're a right spouse or if they're good for you is if they're ready for marriage. If I'm ready for marriage, because that is a lifelong commitment that you are making to each other. What kind of values do you guys have together? Um, or separately, whichever. You gotta look at if your values are equal or if you believe in the same thing. Um, for example, now the past 100 years we have been dating. It's more of a one-on-one thing, as most of us know because we live in this 100 years. But it's not so much around family. The family doesn't have so much involvement. Um, they go more on one-on-one and do things that is not healthy for a relationship. 100 years ago, before this dating process started, we had courtship. Courtship was when the man came to the house where the parents were, where the woman was, and asked the parents as well as the woman if they thought she was ready for marriage. And if she said yes, then they went through church. They went to church together. They hung out with family together. They were never alone until they got married, which leads into the four types of love. You have your friendship love. You have the love where you choose to love each other. Then you just are caring for each other. And then you have your romantic love. So the four loves is what makes a marriage. Um, if you have those other three loves, then when the romantic lust, the love, that kind of love wears off, you still are going to be together, and the marriage won't fall apart. So with that being said, you have I told you about the negative side effects of divorce, and I told you how to pick your spouse. I'm going to tell you how to hold the marriage together once you find your spouse. Marriage is kind of like a plant of any sort, and I'm going to use a cornfield because we have millions of them around. Um, the corn seed gets planted, and the farmer has to go back and fertilize it and take care of it. He doesn't just walk away after he plants the seed. And same thing with the marriage. When you get married, it's great and lust, first year, whatever. But you gotta have that fertilizer to keep the marriage going. The fertilizer in a marriage is communication, and honest communication. Being able to talk to each other about anything. Whether it's how good your day was, how crappy your day was, if you're mad at him, if you're mad at her, whatever. And then to be a good listener, to be able to listen if they're mad at you, if they're having a bad day. Another thing is to be able to build each other up, to have each other's back, and just to know that they're going to have your back makes a huge difference. Then you can say what you want to say because they know you know that they're going to be there for you and not turn on you. Another thing to keep your marriage together is marriage checkups. It's kind of like a doctor. If you got your virus going on in your body and you can't figure it out, you go to your doctor, they give you some medicine. Well, with a marriage checkup, they don't give you medicine, but they give you suggestions on what's working and what can make it better and what can make it stronger. And kind of figure out what that little virus is to get it to shoo away and don't come back. Um, but after you get that figured out, then you gotta just continue to dream. Continue to think of how good it's gonna be in the future and how nice it's gonna be. With that all being said, I came from a divorced family. I did not have those side effects, but I do have still the chance of becoming divorced because I came from that family. Um, so I want to beat the odds. Um, Most people don't take the time to go through those steps and go through the full processes of love. Um, and with all this being said, I just want there to be hope for people to hope and think that their marriage won't end, and to hope that they'll come out better and then they'll have healthy relationships. They'll have healthy kids, physically and emotionally, and these kids will be able to go to school. They will be able to prosper, and they'll get a good education, and they won't have the likelihood of having the negative effects that I have because I came from a divorced family. Not only the emotional and physical problems, but they'll be more financially stable. They'll have, you know, they'll have the community around them, their culture. They'll beat the odds of the society of the 64% of your first time marriage getting a divorce.